Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Pastor Larry. Today is Friday, April 23rd, and I'm blessed to be with you today. And I'm praying for you, praying for all of our friends, our family, those that are connected to us here at the Refuge. And so just want to start this day and end our week with devotions. Maybe I'll end on something to give you something to think about over the weekend, and we might continue it as we get into next week for our devotions. But let me try to do something. The Lord brought to mind something that I preached several years ago. It was actually a series I did on Wednesday nights in our church several years ago. And I called the series Red Letter Living, and it dealt with the Sermon on the Mount, the most prolific message that we have record of that Jesus ever preached. I'm sure he preached more messages, but you may or may not know this, but in the Gospels that tell the story of the life of Jesus, there are only about 52 days of his entire life that are included in the Gospels. And so he lived 33 years, and we only have about 52 days of his life in the gospel. So I'm sure that Jesus did many important things in his lifetime. We know he did prior to coming onto the scene, so to speak, and prior to the cross. And I'm sure that in the 3.5 years of ministry that he did from the time that he came into his own and really began to walk in his purpose and calling, I'm sure there were many other sermons that he preached, but we just don't have record of them. And so the Sermon on the Mount is one of those records, and the Sermon on the Mount includes what we call the Beatitudes. Just in my learning and my study, the Beatitudes are almost like the constitution for the new kingdom that Jesus was instituting. It was the announcement. It was the formation. He was basically laying out the groundwork and the constitution for this new kingdom that he would institute, and he was giving it to his disciples. His disciples were gathered around him on a mountain when he began to preach this. The 12 disciples were around him, and those 12 disciples are symbolic of the 12 tribes, and the 12 tribes had been centered around the law, but now the disciples are gathered around Jesus because Jesus wanted the people to understand that this new kingdom would not be centered around the law, but it would be centered around him. And that's a powerful thing, a powerful illustration to me. It's a powerful revelation to me. And that's what he was trying to show them. He wanted them to understand that everything he was about to institute would be centered around him and would flow from him. And the very first beatitude that he starts with is this one: "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." I like what one Bible translator said. He translated that scripture like this, and I'm just going to read it to you. He said, "Blessed are you who are poor at being spiritual, because you're going to like this kingdom that I'm bringing to you. You people who are not very good at being spiritual need to cheer up, because I have something for you." In other words, what he was saying was those who are not experts in prose, those who don't have masters of divinity, those who don't have a master's in theology, he was basically telling the people, those aren't the ones that are going to get what I'm saying. It won't be the religious. It won't be the devout. It won't be the spiritually elite. But the reality is those are the ones who are going to miss what I'm saying. And the ones who think they are poor in spirit, who are poor at being spiritual, who are poor at spiritual things, those are the ones who are going to recognize that I'm the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Those are the ones that the kingdom is going to be introduced to. And so I want you to understand that today, that Jesus came with a brand new kingdom. And basically what he was telling for all of us, people like me, people like you, people who are watching me and feel like, man, I don't have it all together spiritually. Jesus was saying, you're going to like this new kingdom. I have something for you. There's a place for you in this kingdom. Now, I want to make a distinction here this morning. Jesus was not telling us to be poor at spiritual things. things. He was simply making an announcement that if you are, and if you've always felt like an outsider, then there's good news for you, because there is room in this new kingdom that I'm establishing for people just like you. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I think we need to get an understanding, and I want this to be the vision and the purpose of the refuge. We are not trying to establish some elite forces group here at the refuge. We're not in the comparison. We're not in the competition business. That shouldn't be what your life or my life is about. We're not trying to pray longer and sing louder and faster and more often and worship better than other people are worshiping. And we're not trying to be better than any other church in our community. This is not the spiritual Olympics. The kingdom of heaven is not the spiritual Olympics. Here's the kingdom of heaven, that even those of us who feel like we may be poor in spiritual things, that we don't have it all together when it comes to spiritual things, here's the good news of the kingdom. This is why we preach this at the refuge, because blessed are those who don't think they are good at spiritual things, because in this kingdom there is even room for you, because Jesus, watch this, and I'll leave you with this today. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because Jesus will always meet you at the place of your poverty, not your strength. Did you hear me today? Jesus will always meet you at the place of your poverty and not your strength. If you really want to position yourself for the blessings of God, then you're going to have to identify an area in your life that you need strength in. And from that place is where you're going to have to cry out for the grace of God. And it's in that place that He's going to meet you. Blessed are the poor, those who don't think they are good at spiritual things, those who know they're not good at spiritual things. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Hey guys, no matter how good or bad you may think you are at spiritual life, if there's a place of weakness in your life where you can begin to cry for grace, that is the place where God will meet you, the place of your poverty, not the place of your strength. And blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Come on. There's room for you in this kingdom. No matter what your issue, no matter what your trouble, there's room for you in this kingdom. I want you to remember that today. I hope this has been a blessing to you. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope to see many, many, many of you at 2223 West Morton Street, the Refuge, on Sunday morning, April the 25th at 10 a.m. I'd love to meet you there. Come a little early, get some coffee, a cookie, a donut, spend a little time getting to know a few people around here at the refuge. I'll be out and about looking to shake hands and looking to greet everybody. I want to see you there. God bless you. Have a great, great weekend.